changes around us every day. So, how do you manage the changes that happen in mining year round? Welcome to another episode of Change Itself, hosted by Gus Miner and Eric Demers. The show is brought to you by Sofvie and Technica Mining and is produced by Crownsmen Partners. Now, here are your hosts, Gus and Eric.
All right, welcome everybody. Here we are with episode 5. Today we've got a really good topic. You're joined once again with Eric Demers and myself, Gus Miner. And Eric, today we're going to be diving in with a new guest, Jason Fearnow, and we'll be having a lot of good conversations around the new world ahead and the changes that are coming. How's things been with you since our last show?
Yeah, things been a blur, Gus. I've been moving. I'm between 3 houses right now, getting bought a camp last year that I'm going to convert to a house at some point in the future. So I'm between there, my old place, and the place I'm renting for now. Lots on the go, and just a big update, and spent a week in Val d'Or, Quebec last week. And just things are just absolutely insane right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When we think about, we were talking about moving a couple of episodes ago, and then I've also moved at the end of August, and it's been a heck of a ride. And we talked about how this pandemic has caused a lot of change for a lot of people, and a lot of that was, where I'm at right now is not that cozy anymore. Now that everybody's here in the same quarters all the time, so there's been a lot of movement all around, and real estate did what it did, which has been pretty wild. So. But I'm glad. I'm glad to see at least your to-do list is starting to shrink down, because now you're in full motion. So it's not getting longer. I hope that it's starting to checking some boxes off the list.
I don't know if it's shrinking. It's more like the realization of like every step to come is there now. So it's
exactly
fun. One thing at a time.
It's funny, when I met the people that sold us our house. I met them on the move day, and just you look so happy. You know what I mean? You're super happy. So we waited a year to move, so that was a long closing. But I'm finally get to check things off my checklist. I'm like, I'm pumped. I'm ecstatic. It's actually moving forward, and we're getting done. So yeah, I know it's been so it looks like for the both of us, it's been quite a busy time since our last episode. So it's fun. No time to be bored.
Well, are we introducing our guest?
Yeah, right on. So today we've got Jason Fearnow joining us, and we've met through a couple of different collaborations and a couple of different initiatives that we were part of, speaking about project management and how things are going today, and how we think things are going to happen in the future. So we thought, with today's topic of a new world ahead, that he'd be a great guest to have on our show. And without further ado, Jason, welcome aboard.
Thanks, guys. It's a pleasure to be here. Looking forward to chatting with both you guys today.
Right on.
Thanks for having me.
Let's get started. What is a new world for you, Jason?
What's that?
So what comes to mind when you're thinking about a new world in mining or industry?
When I think about a new world in industry, the first word that comes to my mind is collaboration. No question.
And
go ahead.
Sorry, collaboration. So in what sense? I guess I interrupted you. That's where you're going.
No, that's all good, man. Yeah, in the sense that my focus area within mining is really within the capital development space. And where I like to play is on the construction mega projects. What I see within that space is that we're not very good, to tell you the truth. Statistically speaking, we do a pretty crappy job as an industry of building projects on time and on budget, which is a travesty because it's a degradation of shareholder value, and that sucks. It doesn't have to be like that. So when I think about what alternatives we have, collaboration comes to my mind right away, and we can dive into that in any way that you want.
Right on. Yeah, and you've got a nice initiative as well with the Mining Mavericks. One of the things that we talked about previously, you and I, is you got a pretty strong group of individuals within that movement. Maybe you want to talk a little bit more about Mining Mavericks quickly, just to inform our audience as far as what you're doing there.
Yeah, appreciate that. Absolutely. So it kind of goes on what I was saying, in the sense that as a consultant, my clients bring me in and they parachute me into a project and they say, we're behind, we're ahead, whatever, not ahead, but we're challenged. Can you help us out? And the answer is yeah, absolutely, of course. But when I would show up, now virtually, but when I would show up, it was the same kind of problems over and over again. And it pissed me off, frankly. So I decided, well, what the heck can we do about this? Because it doesn't have to be this hard. It doesn't have to be this way. So I made a proclamation to the industry and I said, I'm on a mission to finding a way to help repair the broken relationships between owners and contractors. When I did that, I had the idea of coming together and collaborating because I know the message that I'm taking out into the industry isn't unique. There are other people within our industry who agree that it doesn't have to be this hard, it doesn't have to be this way. So we started a group of curated leaders from around the industry who wanted to do things better and more sustainable for everyone. So we started hosting roundtable sessions where we would pick a deliberate topic: owner contractor relationships. Why are they always adversarial? And then we would get a group of leaders who were passionate about coming up with a solution, and we would sit around our virtual roundtable and have a discussion and try to come up with a solution so that we could then educate the market as to potentially a different way of doing things. We're doing this way, but this is the effect. 90+% of projects are over budget and late. We don't want that. What can we do as an alternative? So we started having conversations about various topics, and then my team would take those topics and publish them out to the industry in hopes of educating people on a different way, a different perspective, a different potential solution.
So I think that's amazing, and I'm happy to hear there's that kind of chatter going on and people involved in those types of movements.
For sure.
I mean, I work for a contractor, and we are seeing and living those things every day. And we've been part of some projects that, like you've talked about, have ended up over budget and behind schedule, and it's not good for anybody. And sometimes, yeah, it does feel like it becomes like a war. And it doesn't, I agree with you, it doesn't need to be. It just tends to be that way. Everybody wants what's best for them, what they think is best. And I can really see where collaboration might come in there, where it's like, if we're both approaching it, it's a lose-lose. How do we turn it into a win-win, and how do we work together to get there? I mean, I've seen instances where we've done it and we've been in partnership with people and it works so well. And I've seen the opposite happen as well. So I'd be curious to know what kind of solutions and things you guys have talked about.
Yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate that, Eric. And I think that's great context. I totally agree. So traditionally within mining, within major capital development, the customary model, well, let me back up. Mining companies are good at taking rocks, making them smaller, dousing them with chemicals, and producing the end product, whatever that may be. Now, I know that that's obviously an oversimplification, but the point is that mining companies are good at mining. What mining companies are not good at traditionally is building, construction. It's a different industry. It's a different skill set. So a mining company will take a new asset or an asset that is going to be expanded, and they'll say, how are we going to get this done? Well, they don't have the people, the systems, the tools, the equipment to do it. So they go out to a third party and hire a contractor. Contractors work in that space. They build stuff, so they know how to do it better than mining companies. They come together in what is typically an EPCM model. So engineering, procurement, construction management, that's pretty traditional within our industry. There are other models, but that's the most prevalent. What happens in most cases is the owner, the mining company, is focused on price. They're focused on cost. They're focused on the bottom line. Well, that sucks. Yes, we should be focused on how much something costs, but it shouldn't be price. It should be value. What's the value that this contractor is bringing to the table? And that's often missed, that's overlooked. It's contractors are treated as a body shop, and mining companies feel like they can whip them into submission. Well, guess what? It doesn't work. Sadly, it doesn't work. And because of that, what I see moving forward is a more collaborative model. Instead of this master slave type relationship, it's we're both in this together. You're good at mining, I'm good at construction. We want to build a new mine. How do we interact? How do we engage? What's the business relationship that's mutually beneficial between the two of us that has the same goals, the same objectives, so we can get there together? And that's where I see what we're calling collaborative contracts. Other areas or sectors of the market call it different things. Really doesn't matter. It's coming together as a team and playing together and having common goals that I see is really the way of the future.
No, absolutely. I mean, and then a lot of the stuff that you touched on, I mean, even on my side, I mean, in my time in mining, I've experienced both scenarios. I've
Mhm.
actually worked on contracts where the mine and the contractor, like, we were in sync, working
Mhm.
together. And not only is it, the collaboration piece that prevailed there, it also fostered the breeding grounds for innovations.
Mhm.
It also enabled for a really systemic and predictable outcome on the work that was happening. And every time I was a part of a project like that, we were very often ahead of schedule and under budget. At this there's a particular mindset that I have in mind when I speak about those things.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
And when you think about talent retention and in attracting new talent and just like the human resource side of things, when you've got an environment that's set that way,
Mm.
whether it's the contractor that needs to bring in new talent or the company that needs to bring in new talent, um, there's a there's a pride that you can sense as soon as you walk in on the environment, right? They're proud not only of where they work, they're proud of their team. And when you speak about their team, they're speaking about the entire organization, right? Not just, well, my team on the contractor side is awesome and the team on the other side isn't. And no, when we talk about the team, it was always the entire way. And a lot of that was very, very much so leadership based from the start of that, of establishing that mindset, right? So a lot of that stuff resonates, right? I mean, I've, like Eric, I mean, we spent a lot of time working together as well. And we've had, our work cut out for us as we worked in different environments.
Sure.
So on that space, I mean, what do you see as far as like, innovation, growth, change, movement? Like, how do we get there? How do we build that up? What have you seen, or where do you see diving into and offering as a proposed way of being from that space?
Yeah, sure. So brick by brick, man. I don't know how else to do it other than brick by brick. But what I will say is the good news is we're having more conversations about this. So one of the things that the Mavericks have been able to uncover and solidify, at least in my mind and others, is that there's a subculture of individuals within our space who want to do things better. So the conversation started small, but it's growing, it's expanding. There are individuals and companies actually that have a progressive mindset, and they look and they say, if you think about mining and capital projects, there are different generations that have serviced the industry. There are folks that are in their later years, in their 70s and beyond, that were the previous generation of leaders. Well, they had a way of doing things, and that worked for them, and they're on their way out, most of them. However, there's a big void. There's a 20-year void of talent within our market based on commodity cycles. So now the new generation of leaders is us. It's folks that are in the similar circumstances and age as us. With that, there are people that are looking for solutions. They're saying, well, wait a second, these statistics suck. Bringing a project in late and over budget really sucks. Why is this happening? So they're having the conversation and they're looking for solutions. And because we're having conversations like this, there's starting to be a bit of a trend. You know, people are pulling on the thread of what's possible, what's next. If I step back and I say, where have there been wins, or where have there been things that are progressing in the direction of collaboration? What I see from my vantage point is what is not necessarily a new model, but it's being implemented more and more. And that's in the underground space, really coming out of Australia. So the underground contractors have said within their space, well, wait a second, this isn't working for us. So they've started really working together. They call them alliance agreements, but it's basically working together, collaborating. And guess what? They had success. So they started having success. They took the model out to places like Saudi Arabia and Africa and other places. And now they're starting to move into South America and even North America. So we're seeing the trend of that alliance agreement coming west. What we're also seeing is that the more it's implemented, the more success they have. And while, you know, people find out that was a good project, you know, people liked it, it was good, it did well for the market, it did well for the contractor and the owner. Oh my gosh, that's possible. So people are starting to say, well, maybe there is a better way. And as a result of that, you know, we're really helping our clients determine what it looks like to be an owner, what it looks like to be a contractor, and how to come together on the same team and really sing to the same sheet of music.
Jason, could you elaborate what is that alliance agreement? Is it between the mine operator and the contractor? Is it between different contractors? I think our audience might be interested to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, no, of course. Thanks for that, Eric. Yeah, what I'm suggesting, or what I'm discussing, is a relationship between an owner, a mining company, who has a need, and the need is either an expansion or a new asset. And the other party is a contractor. So an organization that has the people, system, tools, and in some cases, the equipment to build that new asset or expand upon an existing process facility, which is usually what the case is, adding a new line or something like that. So you've got the owner and the contractor, and the paradigm shift from what's typical within our industry, to put additional context to it. Typically the owner, the mining company, would come in and they would act as if they were King Kong and say, you know, the relationship is that if you guys are late or if it's over budget, that it's your fault. And I'm going to take out my stick and I'm going to beat the crap out of you and beat you in submission to make you go faster and cost less. And contractors would take it because, well, they're in business to make money, and they made money. However, they didn't like it, and they didn't put their best people on the project either. It's like, if we know we're going to get whipped and beat, then there's no reason to put our best assets, which are our people, onto this project. We'll just do the best we can. We'll cover our overhead, but we're going to put our high quality, high talent people on projects that are more lucrative and give us more of an opportunity to succeed. So they did. But this has just generated over time and really created a pretty crummy scenario, pretty crummy environment. What you have now is mining companies that are having a hard time finding talent for their own organizations to build projects, which was okay for a period of time when mining companies were relying on contractors. But because we've been so abusive to contractors, and I know I'm beating up on mining companies a little bit, contractors aren't perfect, but because the industry in generalities has really been adversarial toward contractors and hit them on margin, they don't have the talent either. They used to, but they don't. Not in the same way. One, because the generations have left and there's a vacuum behind it, but also because who wants to be in a business where you just get the crap kicked out of you all the time and you make a small margin? It's not attractive. So companies have left mining and gone to other industries that are a little bit more kind, I guess. I don't know the right word to use, but that treat contractors better.
Yeah, I guess reasonable would be a good word. A little bit more reasonable.
Yeah, that's funny. I had
No,
a
and I
mentor.
mean,
Oh, go ahead.
and I mean, I've read up on this kind of stuff as well. And I think, I mean, every industry follows each other, right? So
Mm,
we've seen this behavior erupt in the automotive sector, a while back, and
mhm,
they've managed to bounce back and recover and realize that they have to put out a lot more product than they ever have.
mm,
And if they needed to do that, and then mining is in that space now as well too, is that they have to put out more product than they've ever had. We've got more people on this planet,
mm,
got more technology being made. We're sending people, and we're sending a lot more people outer space. We've got everybody with a cell phone in their hand. That's all coming from what's coming from underground, right? So the only long-term sustainability of this all is something needs to happen, right? Especially that we can't find any of the talent to go on either side, whether it's contractor or company, right? So it's that was a great share. I mean, I'm always learning a ton
mhm.
when we have these discussions openly, because we get to share what our experiences are. And this has been a heck of a conversation so far. So thanks for bringing that to your attention, Jason.
Every worker deserves to go home safely at the end of every day. Book a demo with Sofvie to discover how their groundbreaking EHS management software empowers workers to proactively avoid hazards and how organizations like yours can cultivate a stronger work culture. You can learn more at sofvie.com. Technica Mining is a premier underground mining and construction contractor. They stand for delivering quality project work on time and on budget through innovative thinking. Their excellent safety record, experienced workforce, and large equipment fleet will guarantee the timely completion of all your project's needs. Trusted by the world's leading mining companies, Technica Mining has over 20 years of experience in mine construction, development, and production. Contact Technica Mining to take your next mining project to the next level. Learn more at technicamining.com. Change Itself is produced by Crownsmen, the voice of industry. Check out more, including The Crownsman Show, Mining Now, Crownsman Energy, and Crownsman Egg at crownsman.com.
Yeah, of
What
course.
so what's next with the Mining Mavericks? Like, what can we expect? Like, what can we take a dive into and learn from the Mining Mavericks moving forward?
Yeah, we're always looking for new and innovative ways to get information out there and to, bring this to a wider audience. So we've been doing the roundtables for a year now, which have been great. And we have, a decent amount of folks that chime in. We've started doing our YouTube channel. So one of the beautiful things about the Mavericks is the roundtables are totally anonymous. So you can have people that come and say what might be unpopular and not worry about blowback or negative ramifications of their words or their position. And I love that. So we're going to keep that. What we've done now is for folks that are in a position to say what they think and not worry about getting canned or something along those lines. We have a YouTube channel, so we've got a dozen or so interviews online of folks like yourself, Gus, obviously, that have an opinion about what we can do and how we can innovate and how we can collaborate and work together. We also have the opportunity to speak at various events throughout the industry. So in November, I'll be speaking at the Canadian Institute of Mining Global Capital Projects Symposium in Toronto. And the topic there is going to be exactly this. What is the new way? What is the way that we can work together, that we can collaborate through contracts? So we're really trying to get the message out there. I don't know, maybe I should write a book. I don't know, but always open to creative ways to communicate and to transmit information.
Yeah, the generations that we're reaching out to don't read. That's what we're talking today. So
How's that?
Consumption is
Yeah,
through media, right? So, but
that's right.
Saudi.
now as far
Yeah, I
as
mean,
so Jason, I know we're kind of drilling you here because this is such a great topic, but
no, dude, bring it on. I got nothing to hide, man.
you know, because well, so as far as like, you know, your consulting firm, I mean, maybe we could touch on that a little bit as well, is that
Sure.
with your methodologies and your, I mean, you've been very public with what you think about how things are going. What has been, you know, have you encountered any major barriers from you know, coming in from a different angle than what's typical? Like how's the message been received on professionally on yourself with the contracts you're managing now?
That's a really good question. What I will say is that I work with progressive leaders that are open-minded and are forward thinking and recognize that status quo is the definition of insanity. So the folks that believe in the message that we're bringing forward embrace us with open arms. Folks that feel differently, it's usually from the owner side. So the progressive leaders get it and they're like, yeah, we can't treat contractors like dogs and expect them to perform. So they get it. Contractors are begging for this message to be, spread because it's better for them. And it's not about being selfish and being better for them, because it's also better for the owners. But contractors are very receptive to the message of incentivize my behavior rather than punishing my results. There are, however, folks that are within the industry that think that contractors are making these huge margins, these huge profits, and therefore it's okay to just beat them because that's what we've been doing for generations after generation. So we get resistance there. So it's not uncommon for a progressive leader to bring our company in. We'll set a strategy collectively, collaboratively with them on what will work in this instance, because there's always different circumstances and dynamics. And then we take it out within that company, within that organization, to typically the region, the mine site, or whatever. It's oftentimes during that process that we encounter friction. And that's when the education process takes place. Why do you think this is good? What are the results that you've got so far? Oh, they're really crappy. Okay, well, maybe we should look at doing something different. What do you think about that? You don't want to do something different? Okay, well, what are your suggestions? So we go through that iterative process of unpacking different behaviors and different approaches and what the end result will be. It's like anything else, Gus. It's like the way I look at life is the first thing that you've got to figure out is, what do you want? What do you actually want? What are you trying to achieve? And then you can reverse engineer a way to get there. It's the same thing with one of these big projects. One of the first questions I always ask owners is, what do you want to be when you grow up? Do you want to have a mutually beneficial relationship, or do you want to be an asshole? They're both options, and the ones that say mutually beneficial, then we figure out a way to get there. The ones that say, I want to be an asshole, well, they can go be an asshole somewhere else. They're not my clients.
Right. It's quite timely because yesterday I had a session, and one of the things at the end of the session, so I'm going to quote him, and Dan Martel, I'm sure I'll mention him, but he mentioned that right at the end, he says, you know what, everybody has a goal and everybody has an objective of some kind. And they don't often reflect on, who do I need to become to achieve that goal? And then once you realize, who do I need to be to achieve it, then you start your development path to become that person.
It's so true. Look, I love that, and thank you for sharing that. I could nerd out on neuroscience and all of this stuff, but it's really true. What you tell your conscious mind, what consciously you tell your subconscious, happens. It just does. And that what you're saying is who you want to become. Who are you going to become? And set your intentions to that.
Yeah. So that just came from yesterday, and then now it's basically repeated today with what you're coming through. So it resonated very well.
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate you making that connection.
And then Eric, I mean, one of the things that we like to bring in our show as well is a little bit of tech talk at the end, because there's always some tech. And then Jason's got some background in information systems as well, from Penn State, right?
You know it, buddy.
Right on. So, have you encountered anything new since our last episode, or anything that we want to maybe touch on from the tech side that we want to educate the audience on?
I haven't come across anything, but I'd be interested to hear if either one of you guys have. I mean, I know I've been fairly quiet, but it's just been an awesome conversation to take in and be a part of. Yeah, if you guys have something you guys have come across that, I'm all ears and excited to learn.
Right on.
I've got one that I was recently introduced to. So I had a conversation with James Kerr, Keir, and one of the things that he contributes to is a company called MyWexLog. And what's cool about this platform, this application, is it helps people track their skills, their development. So it's almost like a dynamic resume. And I think if you circle this back to the conversation we had about talent and new generation of leaders and stuff like that, there also needs to be a different way of looking at people as an asset, as a resource, as a way to get a project done. So this is a way to really get some insights and into people's skill set. So for example, if I said, Eric, we had a conversation on contracting, and then I could put it into the system and you could essentially validate, yes, Jason has the skill set in this area. So it's got some back end validation that I think is pretty cool.
Right on. So, and I guess they'd be working on getting some kind of a standard set up where it's like they're the Amazon of human resources, basically. Right?
Yeah, could be. I'm not sure what admittedly, I'm not sure what their overarching mission is, other than to help people match positions to their skill set and vice versa.
Is there
And go ahead.
in that, Jason, is there like I could see like your skills and where you've been. Is there for like the user, do you get to like put in, so we talk about who you want to become, like this is what I want to achieve, and then there's some goals and things that I can work towards. Is that part of that platform at all?
I'm not probably the best spokesperson, but I think so. I think so. As I understand it,
That would be quite interesting to be able to like lay out your goals and start,
sure.
working and finding like-minded either organizations or individuals for that matter.
Yeah, totally agree, man. That's a really good point.
Wouldn't that be wild? Wouldn't that be wild? I mean, we were talking about that internally here with our team, is that every company will have their own system of some kind to track the progress from either a training, as you were mentioning, or personal development, or just overall compliances. And there's different things that you can do to track how individuals behave.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't it be cool to have a centralized system, right, where everybody would be able to dive into, and then basically when you're scouting talent, to Eric's point, you would see, hey, Jason's done all this, and this is the progression path that he's built for himself. Oh, the roles that I have available tie right into his past experiences and the future ones he wants to build. What a great candidate, right? I think when it comes to resume writing, and we pass on resumes, I mean, we've been passing resumes on now digitally, but it's still the same format, still the same kind of boring stuff we've done for decades, right? For the longest time, but we've never really had a spot on a resume for people to say, this is where I'm going. Whether it's you that I'm going to do it with, or another organization.
Sure.
This is just where I'm going, right? Instead of submitting yourself to an organization, say, what do you want to do with me? Where are you going to put me? You can actually kind of take control of your destiny a little bit and saying, this is where I'm going. This is where I want to be. So are you part of my future or not? Right. So it becomes a two-way interview, much stronger than just a one-way, can I have a job today kind of thing.
I think with the, like, that vacuum you were talking about, Jason, and like we're living it now, in every kind of position you're looking at. it is really a two-way interview. For the most part, you're having an interview, but it's not really an interview. You're being, as the employer, you're being interviewed, right?
Totally agree.
Values and, do I see myself? Is there a future for me there? Or is this part of my future? Like you're talking about, Gus, like, where am I going? Does this fit what I'm looking for? And I think that's part of like the ongoing conversation now. But it is true. Like that's nowhere on a resume, or it's not really a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
No, I had,
What do you-
and I had somebody interview for a position here, and that person walked in and said, listen, this is what I want to do in the next 2 years. And then I'm moving on to this thing because that's what I want to do. So I'm telling you right up front that I'm not looking for a long-term commitment, but if I can offer value to you for the next 2 years, I'm all yours. And some people would probably receive that as, well, I don't want somebody that uses me as a stepping stone. But at the same time, you're like, the rules of the game. Like it's just there. You don't have to worry about saying, well, they left for no reason. No. They told you before they even started that they were leaving. Like they accepted an offer and resigned on the same day. You know what I mean?
I like it.
So then you get
it.
to get the value that you need from that time period, and you're both on the same page and you're aligned, and then it's what's so, right? We know that nobody works anywhere for 30 years anymore. That's just not the way it is. So I thought that was
No,
pretty
I
interesting.
agree. I totally agree, and I dig that. I would appreciate somebody being so transparent and open up front. But I also think that that's kind of the environment that we're in right now, because the number of resources we have are finite. The gig economy is bringing in talent through consultants, through contractors on a part-time basis. So it's like, this assignment, 6 months in and out, bam, on to the next one. And that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
So I
100%.
like it.
Right on, Jason. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking the time and spending the time with us to have a good conversation and educating the audience. If you had a final message that you would want to put out there, and also let everybody know how they can get a hold of you, what does that look like?
Yeah, for a final message, I would say that for anyone who considers themselves progressive and open-minded and wants to talk about what's possible, hit me up. I'm always open to understanding other people's perspective. It's not what Jason thinks, it's what other people think and what the masses think and how we can work together. So anybody who shares that passion, that vision, please reach out. I'd love to chat. Actually, if you feel the opposite, I'd love to chat too, because I want to know what your perspective is, because that's also important. But for anyone who wants to connect with me, I'm active on LinkedIn. You can also check me out at jasonfearnow.com.
Yeah, we'll have your information on
All good.
in the bio as well. So if you look below in the bio, you'll have all of our details.
For sure.
So again, Eric,
Right on. Thanks,
episode
Jason.
5 in the books.
Yes.
We've got good momentum moving on, and for as long as we have great guests like Jason, I look forward to all the episodes that we have coming up. I wish you all a great end of September, and then on to October already. My goodness.
Here we
Right
go.
on. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.